should display the statement instead. The notes.
The notes.
Okay.
The notes.
Thank you. Chair, there was an indication that we would try and see if we can do the split screen later after. Just then paragraph 18 of your statement.
Mr. Perumal advised that all Section 28 summonses would be served in that week, being the week of the 22nd of January 2025. Mr. Perumal indicated that the statement of Miriam, a member of Crime Intelligence Vetting Component, I am able to mention this name because she filed an affidavit and it has been disclosed, was almost complete. Advocate Johnson stated that lifestyle audits must be conducted on General Lushaba and General Kumalo, as well as FIC applications to determine overseas travel. Advocate Johnson advised that the assets of the PKTT should be profiled.
Okay, just pause that. Just page.
Why are you does she explain why you're looking at lifestyles and overseas travel? I mean, the allegations arising from Mr. Adams's 27, which is the basis of the presentation, right? So everyone is on the same page. We are working off that document. What arising from that section 27 gets you to overseas travel and lifestyle? Was there an obvious link explained?
Nothing. I do state in my statement that it became concerning to me why these instructions were being issued, but more so, I later on stated or explained why I couldn't understand where Advocate Johnson was getting this information from to be so detailed in the instructions and what we were supposed to do during this investigation.
Thank you. Before you continue with paragraph 19, we are now, Commissioners, on page 5 of the notes, file 11. Continue paragraph 19.
Advocate Johnson said that the National Commissioner General Masemola should not be informed of the investigation. She said the National Commissioner would appear at the Portfolio Committee on Policing soon, and we should let him lie at the Portfolio Committee. I assume this was because IDAC was engaged in discussions with the members of the Portfolio Committee on Policing who would know about certain aspects of the investigation. General Masemola, unaware of the investigations, would then presumably be caught in a lie.
Okay, can I just ask you, so when the committee members, the members of the Portfolio Committee on Policing that we know so far would be Mr. Adams, Ms. James, and Mr. Cameron?
Correct.
And I just want to refer you to page 2820, which is in file 7, which is an affidavit by Mr. Ian Cameron. You let me know once you have it. Page 28 was saying in this affidavit, by setting out the chronology and asking if it could, basically saying it couldn't have been Mr. Rapesu who leaked the information because he wouldn't have been privy to the conversations. That is, your suspicion is then confirmed that it's someone else in Mr. Perumal's affidavit that was not disclosed.
Correct. I also had asked at some point if Mr. Rapesu was not involved in all the meetings, then it could only have been the 4. That
including you.
Yes, or including me, 5. That informed Mr. Rapesu or had informed Mr. Nkabinde. But my suspicions were somewhat that so I'm going to deal with just like a small snippet of what Mr. Rapesu dealt with regards to his questioning. Okay. In January 2025, Mr. Rapeso.
You say he's questioning, you mean before the
he's
commission?
evidence before I apologize, he's evidence before the commission. He indicated that he was asking a lot of questions, and that he was removed from the Mokwele because of the questions on the 204. If I can just shed light on what was happening at that time, and explain why there was a need to remove Mr. Rapeso, or my views on why they would want to remove Mr. Rapeso. I actually said it to Mr. Sissoko and Advocate Johnson. I'm too young to be juggling the egos and the arrogance of investigators. And investigators are very arrogant. They really are. They're stubborn and they're arrogant. So I had said that I'm juggling. So there was this fight that happened, and I agreed with Mr. Rapeso on a legal perspective. You cannot start an investigation on a 204. Because what have you done? The purpose of a section 204 witness is when you can get evidence no other way. But you cannot start with a 204 and then from the 204's submissions be guided on an investigation. And I will explain how that 204 aspect and my objections that I raised with Advocate Johnson in my statement. So there was a fight, and then there was, I can see it so clearly in my head, the point where Mr. Perumal was standing up and he did this, but I am your commander, to Mr. Rapeso, because Mr. Rapeso was objecting to these things. And so in order to facilitate this thing I said, and I knew where the direction of Advocate Johnson was going to be if I took this to her. So I indicated to them, Mr. Rapeso has made great strides with leg 1 on the Lushaba matter, and I had been receiving updates every day and an updated report every day. With regards to the Mokwele matter, I suggest that Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi continue so that we don't have this. But they were still supposed to report everything to me so that I could report it to Advocate Johnson, which I was completely bypassed on. So in essence, it was me that removed Mr. Rapeso from the Mokwele. But the problem that started was Mr. Rapeso, after I had left the meeting and the investigators were still discussing, Mr. Perumal had told me after that Rapeso needs to get in line with how we work. So, and it's not only him, that if you stand up to Mr. Perumal, I've explained what happens to you. So in light of all of those things, in the back of my head, I doubted that these allegations, because it happened again, I think it was last year or sometime early this year, to another investigator that was allocated to Mr. Perumal on the diversion matters, where he was placed with an email or a letter saying that he must respond to allegations, and they were the most ridiculous allegations I've ever read. I will have to just think about it. It will come back to me. But this whole thing was about the meeting with IGI and trying to get the information from IGI.
And when you say I must control, is that what Advocate Johnson is saying in the meeting, I must control? Or are you making a note for yourself that you must control?
No, if it was a side note, I make a little circle or a bubble above it. But if it's just like this, then it's instructions from Advocate Johnson.
Okay.
Before you leave your note at page 5, did Advocate Johnson say why the National Commissioner should be left to lie? What was the plan, the idea behind let him go lie to Parliament, and then what?
Like I said in statement 1, Commissioners, it looked and obviously became evident that there was a line of march, and that line of march was to get General Kumalo and General Masemola in an accused box. And so obviously there was, at some point there was talk about if he lies that portfolio committee, but this is well after. I think this is in February or March, and this was just between Padiachi and myself and Mr. Perumal, where if he lies, we can at least charge him for perjury.
He would have lied to a committee of parliament, which in itself is an offense.
So the plan was to set him up.
In essence, it was. That was the instructions. Don't tell him, let him go and lie.
So that he can be arrested and charged.
Correct.
And be presented to court.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. And if you go to page 2820, it was deposed and commissioned on the 9th of April 2025 in Cape Town by Mr. Brian Padiachi.
Confirm.
Okay. And just to give context, Mr. Cameron says at page 2820 that paragraph 4, I, together with members of my committee, are primarily responsible for oversight to ensure effective law enforcement within SAPS. And then at 5, he says, as chairperson, I convened a portfolio committee meeting on Wednesday, 2025-0402, online with members of the committee, senior managers from the Office of the Minister of Police and senior management of the SAPS, led by General Masemola. And he sets out certain events in there, but then I want you to go to 2821, paragraph 8. He says some committee members were not satisfied with the SAPS management responses. However, in the absence of factual evidence, I intervened and closed the agenda point and moved to the next item on the agenda. Then at paragraph 10, which should actually be paragraph 9, importantly, he says, I suspect that the senior management of the SAPS, led by General Masemola, misled the portfolio committee in answer to several questions posed to them. To confirm exactly where the committee was misled, it will be prudent for the committee's recording of the meeting to be compared with the evidence available in the relevant crime intelligence files. So from what he seems to be saying in here is that General Masemola and whoever was in that committee meeting from SAPS had effectively misled, lied to the committee. And we know now from your notes on page 5 at file 11 that Advocate Johnson said you mustn't tell the National Commissioner about the investigation. Let him lie to the committee. He'll be caught in a lie. And Mr. Cameron was one of the committee members who was engaging with IDAC at the time and knew that there was an investigation at the time, correct?
From this affidavit and from the notes, correct.
Thank you.
Ms. Nobe, you should read paragraph 7 because it gives a context.
Yes.
To 8. Sorry if you had already read it.
Yes.
I might have missed it.
Paragraph 7 of that same 2821, there have been several media press releases and on social digital platforms where allegations of corruption within the Crime Intelligence Division have surfaced. The committee was therefore focused on addressing some of these allegations, as will be evident from the minutes. So it was about crime intelligence that General Masemola was being called to that committee on policing. Advocate Johnson knew that in January 2025 when she has that briefing session, because she says he will be appearing at the portfolio committee on police soon. Correct?
Correct. It's also later made reference to in 2 July, the memo that I'll be addressing or speaking about with regards to this.
The 2 July memo relating to the arrest of General Masemola and General Kumalo.
Yes, correct.
That you prepared a memorandum on, which we'll get to that.
Yes.
Thank you.
But can we say for sure that the discussion with Advocate Johnson related to this portfolio committee meeting? Because this meeting is in April. and that discussion is taking place
in
3
January.
months prior. Now, we know from evidence that there were other portfolio committee meetings, the one in March, for example, where the name of Mr. Brown Mkhotsi was mentioned for the first time. And I don't know how many others. So can we say for certain that the discussion in paragraph 19 of your statement was related
Yes.
to the portfolio committee meeting in April?
Commissioner Kumalo, we'll look into that, but this was specifically in relation to crime intelligence, this portfolio committee meeting on policing. So we will look at the others to see whether those also related to crime intelligence.
Because it says here he will be appearing soon. Now, I don't take soon to be in 2-3 months from now. That's really my difficulty.
Okay, we'll have a look into that. Okay, you can continue.
Maybe for completeness on this Ian Cameron affidavit, we should point out that Mr. Cameron doesn't say in what respect did the SAPS team lie or is suspected to have lied.
Correct.
That's correct?
That's correct.
He doesn't provide any particulars.
May I offer
Yes, please.
an observation from, because of the matters and the way they were being dealt with? It would honestly have been at the time where General Masemola would have been questioned on the vetting and security clearance of Ms. Madondo and Mr. Khan, at the point where he says that it had been sent to SSA. So in line of that, but it could be many more.
Okay,
Thank you.
do you then want to go to page 10, paragraph 20 of your statement?
Thereafter, Advocate Johnson relayed an incident that occurred.
Sorry, just before that, there is on your note, but you don't deal with it in your statement. On page 5, after the let him lie, and then there's a IGI, there's a block that has the IGI. Can you tell us what that note was about?
With regards to this, as far as I can remember, it was Advocate Johnson was explaining that we must go and have a discussion and see if we can have an agreement to share information with the IGI. And at some point, someone said that IGI can't give us their reports because they are confidential or top secret and designated for specific, either the president or the minister. And there was, I am aware of now, what I am aware of now, I apologize, as informed by the evidence leaders, is that Lieutenant Colonel Andrea Kumalo testified that on the 30th of May 2025, at around 11:30 a.m., Mr. Perumal called him. And when he returned his call, Mr. Perumal requested the cellular phones of Mr. Vusimuzi Matlala for downloading. I have been shown this affidavit by the evidence leaders in preparation of this statement. According to Lieutenant Colonel Kumalo's affidavit, Mr. Belichin produced an approved search and seizure warrant. I do not know if the purported 28-1 authorization of 30 May 2025 and the request from Mr. Matlala's devices on the same day are connected. What I do know is that a 28-1 in respect of the Medicare 24 matter was authorized on the 16th of May 2025, and this could be used to obtain the downloads for Matlala's devices on the 30th of May 2025. But as I deal with later, I suspect that Advocate Johnson and Mr. Perumal knew that the Medicare 24 investigation was unlawful from inception. They may have wanted to rely They may not have wanted to rely on that authorization to obtain Mr. Matlala's devices because of the unlawfulness. I deal with this later.
We'll just display that affidavit by Lieutenant Colonel Kumalo, where he says that on the 30th of May, Mr. Perumal contacted him regarding obtaining the devices. And then he says in another paragraph that Mr. Beluchan showed them the approved, I don't know what the relevance is of the approved search and seizure warrant to accused address. And you deal with it later, and your advice at some point or your observations that you made to the team at the time on the Matlala matter or the Medicare 24 matter seems to have been what they actually followed, because what they were going to do in order to get those devices from SAPS, you said to them, you can't do it that way. And it seems that the way that you had suggested to them was the way that they followed.
Correct. And because I had distanced myself from this matter, it was only when I saw this that I realized that the advice that I had given them with regards to how search warrants of this nature are supposed to be done was followed. Because prior to that, they actually just wanted to go and seize the devices, the actual devices, which breaks chain of custody.
And that you only found out that they followed your suggestion when you saw the affidavit of Lieutenant Colonel Kumalo, and what he describes is what you had suggested to them at the time.
Confirmed.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you want to say on this topic of the 28-1 before I ask the chair if we can adjourn for now?
I want an age analysis, an ink age analysis of that 28-1 signature.
On Advocate Johnson's 30 May.
Because really, this not only is Advocate Johnson deceiving the commission, she's throwing a junior under the bus. What kind of leadership is that? Is that really leadership? And now I'm speaking from emotion.
Thank you, Mr. Msami.
I'm not in.
After the presentation meeting or before?
Correct. It was called, as per Mr. Perumal, a caucus meeting where he was indicating the things that needed to be done.
Following from the presentation?
From the instructions of Advocate Johnson after the presentation.
Okay, the first one there, can you just tell us what that is? It relates to the vetting. It's a section 28. I can't see who it will be served on.
It will be served on Miriam, who's a witness, upon consultation regarding her affidavit. If I remember correctly, the witness had concerns about deposing to an affidavit without informing NASCOM and the legal department of SAPS. And so that 28 needed to be served on her so that she could show them that she's compelled to disclose, as well as provide documents within her control.
Okay, and
In her control.
And this was what? Vetting?
It would have been the vetting department of crime intelligence, yes.
Okay.
and then you have another entry regarding a section 28, which is a personnel file. Can you just tell us there, because it refers to BMW clerk?
I did mention in my earlier testimony or on the previous occasion that at that point I didn't even know that Brigadier Mokwele was the BMW lady. And in the meeting, she's referred to as the BMW clerk. Where I say to discuss with, it's probably I had to discuss it with the ID. And then the next line is Dylan would action the following. To serve a 28 on the NASCOM for the personnel file and for the BMW clerk lady, and for the personnel file from BMW and documents relating to the clerk, who I later became aware was the brigadier. And the next one was the 28 records.
And that she's an engineer, not a clerk, you later learn.
Correct, that she's an engineer.
With an MBA.
We were not informed of this by the investigating officers.
So you've mentioned it again now, but when you testified the last time, you did mention the fact of your being made redundant.
Correct.
Can you just explain how that, what in fact happened? I'm not asking you for the reason for being made redundant, but you're still on the job. What does it mean? What does it mean you sat in a corner, were not involved in matters, or you were told to go home until we call you? How has it manifested?
I'll speak of both 2023-24 and this year. In 2023-24, I was not given any new projects to work on. I was only allowed to work on the court matters that emanate from, that were already in court. The senior advocate that had placed those matters in court, I had to assist him. I was basically an assistant. And then this year, matters that I had been working on for 3 years. In February, I'm forced to finalize consultation with all my witnesses within 2 months and provide a detailed report in preparation for trial, only to be told that I'm no longer on the matter. Matters I was removed from in 2024, I'm now being put back on those matters when they are already set down for trial. It was a matter of just frustrating me. I was a little pawn that was being told, you go here, you go there, but there was no actual work that I was supposed to do.
And according to you, what was the reason for you being treated this way that rendered you redundant? What were you said, or what did you understand to be said you've done wrong?
There was a meeting in February this year, and Advocate Johnson asked the project manager to record it and give it to me. Because of the nature and the factors, I have not provided it. In that meeting, Advocate Johnson alerts my colleagues to the fact that she doesn't trust me anymore. And that I'm going around telling people that Johnson gives me these big projects, you can't touch me, which I do, and eventually did find out who took that to her. And it was not in the context that I said it. I had gone to my deputy director and said, I do not know why Advocate Johnson is giving me these matters, because I cannot work with that team. I cannot. And that was after an incident that I will discuss. And only the first portion was taken to her. But also, at that point, I was really frustrated with everything and the manner in which that project diversion was. So I was being blatantly frustrating. And I was hoping to be moved out of the project.
Thank you.
So on the 20th of January 2025, when we were consulting with the forklift witness, he made mention of Cedric Nkabinde. As naive as I am, I didn't know who that was, so I had to Google. When we were on the smoker's balcony the day after, Mr. Perumal and myself, he mentioned to me that, so there were two aspects that he addressed with me that day. One, that he didn't want the witness to speak about Cedric Nkabinde in front of Mr. Rapesu. And I didn't understand, because at that time I didn't know that they had worked together at IPAD.
They had worked together, who you're referring to?
Mr. Nkabinde and Mr. Rapesu had previously worked at IPAD together. The second aspect...
Sorry, and the witness that he refers to is the forklift witness?
Correct.
Okay.
with regards to that forklift witness mentioning Mr. Nkabende, it was about the arrangements to go and consult with Mr. Perumal. So on the 21st, when we were on the balcony, Mr. Perumal addresses this aspect, and I said, but why? And he didn't give me a reply. His next response to me was, Drew, I need you to speak to ID. So I said, about? And he said, no. Rapesu is going to start crying that the work is too much now. I need you to speak to ID to bring on my guys. So this is the second time Mr. Perumal is asking me to bring on his Eastern Cape guys, being Mr. Beluchin, Mr. Mbalo, because Mr. Mazibukwana at that time was in hospital. The first incident where Mr. Perumal brought up the aspect of his guys being on board was on the 6th of December, also on the balcony, where he said to me, I said to him, so I hear we have a new matter together, because he and we were not speaking on good speaking terms at that time because of what had transpired with the first 27 report. We spoke, but it was not very friendly. And he said, yes, I need you to get those documents sorted out now because the ID must sign it. I want my guys to go and fetch the dockets before we leave because they were flying back to Eastern Cape. And I said to him, but the ID didn't designate. And then I gave him the 5 people that were designated. So with regards to the Nkabende matter, if I may just go to the affidavit.
The affidavit is at page 248 of file.
That you become aware of, through Mr. Perumal or any other person, of Minister Mchunu's involvement in the work that you are doing here relating to crime intelligence.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Perumal told me that this witness was relevant for the procurement of the forklift by crime intelligence. At that stage, I was not aware that General Jacobs had informed Mr. Rapesu that the inspectorate had to update Mr. Mchunu or Minister Mchunu on Mr. Adams' complaint every 10 days. I mention this because it seems that Mr. Mchunu's involvement was more than just receiving updates from the inspectorate on Mr. Adams' criminal complaint. Paragraph 6. Mr. Perumal indicated that a further consultation could be arranged with this witness. And the consultation was held on the 20th of January 2025, which I deal with later.
Before you read the next sentence, the word when must be deleted, the first word. So it starts with Mr. Perumal.
Mr. Perumal said that the witness evidence was gold, which I understood to mean that Mr. Perumal considered the evidence to be supportive of the allegations of criminal conduct regarding the procurement of the forklift. On the 14th of January 2025, whilst I was attending court at Pretoria North Magistrates Court and chatting in the passages with Advocate Tila Shabalala together with a witness, this witness is in relation to a different matter for the purposes of court. Mr. Mbalo, an investigator from Eastern Cape reporting to Mr. Perumal, and Mr. Beluchin. Mr. Beluchin told me that he was present at the consultation with my witness.
Does the "my" there refer to Mr. Beluchin?
It refers to me.
To you?
So when he speaks, he says, with your
witness.
I'm asking because you've put it in quotes and you use "my" as if it was Mr. Beluchin who said "my." Do you see what I mean?
I understand.
Yeah.
It should read with your witness. And that he had even viewed video footage. He was referring to the consultation with the forklift witness that Mr. Perumal had told Mr. Rapesu and me about on the 13th of January 2025. I was concerned that Mr. Belluchin was consulting with a witness on project diversion when he had not been designated as a team member on the project. Yet Mr. Rapesu and I, who were designated members, were only informed about the consultation after it had taken place.
Now, why was that such a concern for you, that he's not a designated member and yet he knows things about and has consulted with witnesses regarding this investigation?
One, as explained by Advocate Surunya yesterday, we do not discuss our matters with other team members or other people or other staff members of IDAC. It's a designated team. You discuss it within the designated team. It's also a breach of Section 41(6) for him to have been present at that consultation. But I will
just remind us, what does 416 say? 41(6)?
It's a section in the NPA Act that does not allow us to discuss investigations with other parties without authorization.
Thank you.
The other concern is something that I will address in paragraph 14.
You continue, paragraph 8.
I asked Mr. Belluchin how he could be involved in this matter if he had not been designated as one of the team members, and why he deemed it appropriate to discuss details of this matter in front of Advocate Shabalala and a witness. He smirked and said in a joking way, "I know nothing. I didn't say anything." This incident was very concerning, and on the 16th of January 2025, after a scheduled meeting with Advocate Johnson, it should read on another matter. So,
And others must be deleted.
correct. After a scheduled meeting with Advocate Johnson on another matter, I asked if I could have a discussion with her privately regarding project diversion. I asked Advocate Johnson if the designation for project diversion had been extended to include Mr. Belluchin, and I expressed my concerns regarding him consulting with a witness and being involved in the investigation if he's not included in the designation. Advocate Johnson told me that she was not aware that Mr. Belluchin was party to the consultation that was held with the forklift witness. Advocate Johnson told me that a presentation would be held on the 22nd of January 2025 regarding project diversion, and that I should include my concerns in the presentation for discussion at the meeting. Advocate Johnson sent an email to all designated members and Mr. Sissoko, including that she wanted a presentation on the 22nd of January 2025 about project diversion. On that same day, Mr. Perumal emailed a draft presentation to Mr. Rapesu, Padiachi, and me, annexed MMR 12 of Mr. Rapesu's witness statement. In his covering email, he asked for input before the presentation was to be submitted to Advocate Johnson ahead of 22 January 2025 meeting.
Just before you continue with paragraph
1338, I sent Advocate Johnson.
Can you just, Ms. Ramsamy, when you read from the file, maybe bring the file closer to you so that you don't move away from the microphone. Thanks.
1338, afternoon, Advocate Johnson. I spoke to Tilas about the links and the evidence regarding C in Cup.
That is a reference to Mr. Nkabinde, and Tilas is Advocate Shabalala.
Correct. Peter White has a comprehensive report on the links on various matters, cell phone records, and vehicle provided to him being Mr. Nkabinde.
And who's Peter White?
He's a data analyst.
Within IDAC.
He previously was within IDAC on contract basis. He's now a service provider.
Okay.
Rapesu has provided the transcripts of the court case and judgment. I will await your instructions on obtaining the report, providing same to your office.
What report are you referring to here?
The Peter White report, because Advocate Johnson had instructed me to speak to Tilas and find out what evidence against Mr. Nkabinde was at hand. And that is why I'm informing her that Mr. White has a comprehensive report.
Okay. And then there's a response from Advocate Johnson.
Please obtain report. Just met the minister now. Need to put together ASAP. I reply, noted, thank you.
Okay, and you wanted to refer to this exchange in response to a question about from the chair whether the only reason for the inquiry by Advocate Johnson was because Mr. Nkabinde made her feel uncomfortable, and you said you thought that there was a different reason and referred us to this. So can you tell us why you say so and why this is relevant?
My understanding or observation of this is that if she's saying to me, just met the minister now, need to put this together ASAP. Obviously, the minister is also or happy or approving that Mr. Nkabinde must be investigated, charged, and.
Well, at that stage, there's nothing suggesting that he must be charged. She's just gathering information at the time.
If I may just put it as to how I understood it in the meeting on the 22nd of January. I want something on this guy.
Meaning what in your speak?
In my head, Advocate Johnson wanted dirt on Mr. Nkabinde, and she wanted to charge him.
And your reference, are you suggesting that at the meeting, either on the 20th or the 21st, at the minister's residence, that was when the minister and Advocate Johnson discussed Mr. Nkabinde?
I assumed it to be so because of the way Advocate Johnson was pushing for the information, even on the 23rd, and then she said she spoke to the minister, we must move ASAP. The other aspect of the 22nd of January 2025 meeting that made me alert to the fact that the meetings with the minister were common or regular was that she said, Advocate Johnson said to the team, the minister wants to clean up SAPS. He wants us to help him clean up SAPS. Crime intelligence in specifically.
Let me just take you back on digging up dirt on Mr. Nkabinde. From where I'm sitting, that's not the only inference that one could have drawn. What if perhaps the minister wanted his mind put at ease? Say, for example, just make sure that what I've heard about Mr. Nkabinde is in fact not true. And if that were the case, then his mind would be put at rest. I
could agree that that's a possibility.
Yes, I'm asking it in the light of what Ms. Sigels raised with you, which is there was no charge or what, I've forgotten the language, yeah. That too is a possible inference under the circumstances.
It could be a possible inference, but the manner in which it was said to me, I knew already because I was in the environment and I could read the room. But also the urgency on the 23rd. But then my evidence will further show that I was getting pressure to do a 28 to investigate standalone against Mr. Nkabinde.
Yes, my question was specifically at that stage. There was that could have been a possibility that it wasn't just because there were no charges yet. Advocate Johnson didn't say we need to charge him. She just wanted the information. She was gathering information.
Correct.
Okay.
Ms. Dube, maybe I misheard you. Did you say at the minister's residence or at the minister's instance?
Residence.
So it came from you and not the witness. What do you know about the meeting at the minister's residence? The meeting between Advocate Johnson and the minister?
That it had taken place after hours. That she was left waiting for an extended period of time for the minister. She was with the Chief of Staff, Mr. Nkabinde. And at that meeting, except for the heebie-jeebies, the aspect of the minister wanting to clean up SAPS and more specifically crime intelligence was discussed.
So that was the subject of discussion at that meeting.
That is what I was informed.
And did Advocate Johnson tell you what exactly the minister had said about crime intelligence, which gave rise to the need for a cleanup?
No, Chair, I was not privy, but from the way the conversation progressed, it was clear that the only 3 people in the room that knew what was being spoken about in those undertones was Advocate Johnson, Mr. Padiachi, and Mr. Perumal.
Thank you, Chair. See that it's 11:01. We take the adjournment. So can you just tell us how this affidavit came about?
I have to go back to the 22nd of January. Okay. So we start the presentation to Advocate Johnson on the 22nd of January. We go through the presentation. Mr. Perumal is primarily reporting or presenting to the IDAC.
This is the same presentation that we've been looking at.
MRR.
Yes.
Correct. So what happens on the 22nd is we all sitting in the boardroom. The presentation is now done. Advocate Johnson says she needs to inform the team about what happened to her the night before, or it was either the 20th or the 21st, but during the evening. She indicates that she had gone to Minister Mchunu's house or residence for a meeting, and that she had left her cell phone with her protectors, and she was left waiting for Minister Mchunu in his residence, but in the presence of Mr. Nkabinde, and that Mr. Nkabinde had given her the heebie-jeebies.
Made her feel uncomfortable.
Yes, made her feel uncomfortable. And so she went on about how there's something not right about in Nkabinde and all of that. I'm still trying to place the pieces together because I'm not coming from the history of I was in regional court, murder, rape, robbery. So I didn't know the role players.
It may not be relevant, but did she explain what exactly made her feel uncomfortable?
She did not explain why she felt uncomfortable. She explained only the purpose of the meeting with Minister Mchunu.
Okay, all right, please continue.
So at that point where she's explaining her unease and that there's something just off about Mr. Nkabinde, and Mr. Sissoko, who was present in the presentation, indicates that yes, Nkabinde had worked. Mr. Nkabinde had worked at IPAD, and then she said, no, there's something. There's just something about him. We need to see what we can do about him. So, and I'm making notes, and she then says that, so Mr. Sissoko starts explaining that how Nkabinde left, Mr. Nkabinde left IDAC, IPAD, sorry, and that there was transcripts with regards to a case where he was found to be or discredited witness, etc. And Advocate Johnson said she wanted it. So Mr. Sissoko asked Mr. Rapeso, did you receive or do you have them? And he said yes. And then the instruction was that he was to circulate the transcripts to the team members. Then so then there was this whole conversation between Mr. Sissoko and Mr. Perumal. I was just sitting there taking my notes about Mr. Nkabinde having been linked to 2 other investigations and elements of criminality within matters that are in IDAC space. One being investigated from Mr. Perumal's team, and the other one was a matter that was sent on 27 referral in 2019 or 2019 from IDAC at the time of the Zondo Commission. I put at the time of the Zondo Commission.
Was saying in this affidavit by setting out the chronology and asking if it could, basically saying it couldn't have been Mr. Rapesu who leaked the information because he wouldn't have been privy to the conversations. That is, your suspicion is then confirmed that it's someone else in Mr. Perumal's affidavit that was not disclosed.
Correct. I also had asked at some point if Mr. Rapesu was not involved in all the meetings, then it could only have been the four. That
Including you. Yeah.
Yes, or including me, 5. That informed Mr. Rapesu or had informed Mr. Nkabinde. But my suspicions were somewhat that so I'm going to deal with just like a small snippet of what Mr. Rapesu dealt with regards to his questioning. Okay. In January 2025, Mr. Rapesu...
When you say his questioning, you mean before the commission?
His evidence before the... I apologize, his evidence before the commission. He indicated that he was asking a lot of questions and that he was removed from the Mukwele because of the questions on the 204. If I can just shed light on what was happening at that time and explain why there was a need to remove Mr. Rapesu, or my views on why they would want to remove Mr. Rapesu. I actually said it to Mr. Sissoko and Advocate Johnson. I'm too young to be juggling the egos and the arrogance of investigators. And investigators are very arrogant. They really are. They're stubborn and they're arrogant. So I had said that I'm juggling. So there was this fight that happened, and I agreed with Mr. Rapesu on a legal perspective. You cannot start an investigation on a 204. Because what have you done? The purpose of a section 204 witness is when you can get evidence no other way. But you cannot start with a 204 and then from the 204's submissions be guided on an investigation. And I will explain how that 204 aspect and my objections that I raised with Advocate Johnson in my statement. So there was a fight, and then there was, I can see it so clearly in my head, the point where Mr. Perumal was standing up and he did this, but I am your commander, to Mr. Rapesu, because Mr. Rapesu was objecting to these things. And so in order to facilitate this thing I said, and I knew where the direction of Advocate Johnson was going to be if I took this to her. So I indicated to them, Mr. Rapesu has made great strides with leg 1 on the Lushaba matter, and I had been receiving updates every day and an updated report every day. With regards to the Mukwele matter, I suggest that Mr. Perumal and Mr. Padiachi continue so that we don't have this. But they were still supposed to report everything to me so that I could report it to Advocate Johnson, which I was completely bypassed on. So in essence, it was me that removed Mr. Rapesu from the Mukwele. But the problem that started was Mr. Rapesu, after I had left the meeting and the investigators were still discussing, Mr. Perumal had told me after that Rapesu needs to get in line with how we work. So, and it's not only him, that if you stand up to Mr. Perumal, I've explained what happens to you. So in light of all of those things, in the back of my head, I doubted that these allegations, because it happened again, I think it was last year or sometime early this year, to another investigator that was allocated to Mr. Perumal on the diversion matters, where he was placed with an email or a letter saying that he must respond to allegations, and they were the most ridiculous allegations I've ever read.
As far as the second aspect is concerned, you mentioned that there was a purpose for the meeting with the Minister Mchunu and Advocate Johnson, either the 20th or the 21st of January. I'm not sure whether you actually specifically told us what the purpose was and who told you that that was the purpose for the meeting.
I wasn't specifically told what the purpose of the meeting was. From the manner in which the conversation was going between Mr. Padiachi, Mr. Perumal, and Advocate Johnson, I picked up that there was, firstly, that this was not the first meeting, but what Advocate Johnson eventually said was that the minister wants to really clean up crime intelligence and SAPS. So I thought that was the purpose.
Just so that we are not confused, on 239, because you're talking about the meeting on the 20th.
Correct.
Late night meeting.
The night meeting, correct.
I don't know how late, but let's say it's an evening meeting.
Correct.
Not say late night. This one is on the 23rd of January 2025.
Correct.
And it must have taken place in the morning because Advocate Johnson says just met the minister now.
Correct, at 13:44.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, sorry. So at this page 239 and your evidence so far, there's then been at least 2 meetings between the minister and Ms. Johnson.
Correct.
According to this. Are you aware of any further meetings?
Not directly aware. I would just, in the meetings here, the minister said.
Okay.
But I didn't know how it was communicated or whether they were still meeting.
Okay.
And do you know who went with Advocate Johnson to this meeting?
The meeting of the 20th or the 21st.
This one, the 23rd.
The 23rd, no, I'm not aware of what that meeting was
You
about.
know about the 20th, who went with?
I was informed by Advocate Johnson that she was alone waiting for the minister with Mr. Nkabinde.
And she, with her protectors, of course.
Her protectors were asked to wait outside and her cell phones were handed to the protectors.
Okay. And then just staying on 239, when you start out the message to Advocate Johnson, you say, "Afternoon, Advocate Johnson. I spoke to Tillis about the links and evidence regarding C and Cub." When you explained the taskings that Advocate Johnson gave on the 22nd of January, I don't recall you saying whether she had asked you to do something specifically. So I just wanted to know, how do you get to the point where you're telling her that you spoke to Tillis? Was it an instruction from her or?
Correct. The instruction after the communication and the discussion about Mr. Nkabinde, which was primarily between Mr. Perumal, Mr. Sissoko, and Advocate Johnson. We were just party to the meeting. Advocate Johnson instructed me, because Advocate Shabalala was the prosecutor on those 2 matters that were discussed. And those matters were within the IDAC space and already in court. Advocate Johnson instructed me to contact Advocate Shabalala and find out what evidence was contained in those 2 dockets against Mr. Nkabinde and then report to her. And that is how I determined through Mr. Advocate Shabalala that Mr. Peter White had documentary evidence with regards to forensic analysis.
Okay. Then